This wig giving me life and whatnot. What's good, Vanessa gang? So, obviously from the title, y'all gonna watch me make my first wig. This is what it came out looking like. So, if you want to get your wig on fleek or whatever, just copy what I'm doing and then I'll get you right. Make sure you like and subscribe. Did you do it yet? How about now? Waiting. Okay. Bye. Okie dokie. So these are all the products that I ended up using. The most important thing, the hair, obviously. And then I have the needle and thread, the cap, the little brochure it came with. It also came with some lashes that I don't think that I'm going to use because I'm into the long ones. And I also have developer and bleach, but I did not end up using that because the net on the frontal was the same color as my scalp. Blessed, that's not always gonna happen, but I was lucky. And it came with 4 bundles of 26 inches and a frontal of 20 inches. That is a lot of hair, but I love my hair full, and you know, usually when you get straight hair it comes thinner than normal, so you need, you know, more wefts. But I didn't need that. I actually only used 3 wefts in the frontal, so I'm very surprised. But to start off, I was just grabbing the frontal and trying to make sure it's on right. I put the edges of the frontal onto the edge of the cap. And it would have been 10 times easier if I had pins to pin it down, but I did not. So throughout this video, you're gonna see that I'm probably struggling. But yeah, so right now I'm doing the needle and thread. I get a long thread, but not too long, because if you grab a long thread, it's going to get tangled and messed up and get knots throughout it, and you're gonna have to cut it and get more. It's just too much. And then I double and triple knot the ends so that it doesn't go through your frontal or your wefts, and it's going to end up ruining your whole stitching thing you had going on, girl. We don't need that. We do not got time. So make sure you double, triple, maybe even quadruple knot it. So right now what I'm doing is I'm making that first knot and I'm about to start stitching. I'm going to make sure it's at the end, make sure everything is perfectly intact, because once you start sewing and things start moving around, it's going to ruin your whole stitching and you might have to take it all out and start over again. Trust me, been there, done that, did it probably 4 times. This whole process took me about 6 hours because I'm pretty slow at stitching and I didn't know what I was doing, but it came out beautifully as you saw in the beginning of the video, so bear with me. And like I said before, I didn't have any pins to pin it down, so I used some tape, and it didn't work as good as I thought it would, but it did work. So if you don't have any pins, invest in some tape and lots of it. And after I taped it down, I started sewing on the frontal. Make sure everything's intact, otherwise it will not work. You're going to end up having to take the stitches out and starting all over. Trust me, been there, done that. This whole process took me about 6 hours, which is ridiculous, but it was my first time and I didn't know what I was doing. So bear with me, because at the end of the day, it ended up looking great like the beginning of this video. And this stitch, I'm not sure what it's called, so if you know what it's called, put it in the description for everybody else who doesn't know and might want to try it out. But what I'm doing is I'm putting the needle through the cap and frontal, and then I'm putting the needle over the thread, and then I'm creating like a loop / knot every time. That way it's going to be way harder for the wefts or the frontal to become undone, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm just going to do this all around, and I'm going to do the same thing for the wefts. At this point is when I realized that my cap was inside out, because those little side stringy thingies are supposed to go in the inside and not on the outside. So yeah, but I made it work, and I ended up sewing down the weft in the inside so that in case I wanted to put my hair in a ponytail, I could do that without any of the track showing. But I didn't do it right because I didn't put it far enough in the inside. You know what I'm saying? Right. Okay, so now I'm starting to take these wefts and sewing them on regularly. I ended up sewing it not on it but over it. There you go. And I just sewed them down. I ended up doubling my wefts because when you double them, it just saves a lot of time. And I'm like, girl, I have 4 wefts to work with. I do not got time to do them one by one. I'm too impatient. So if you're impatient and you want to get this done, then I suggest you doubling up your wefts, especially if it's straight anyways, to create a fuller look. So I'm just going to fast forward this even more because this is pretty boring. You got the point. In case it didn't turn out right, and in case I wanted to use these bundles and actually get it sewed in, I'm trying to save my wefts and make it last longer and fold them instead of cutting them. If you cut them, it'll make it flatter, but I like volume anyways, so I just folded them and made sure that I sewed down the corners really tight so that it lays as flat as it can possibly be. And then I just started sewing regularly again. Once I got to the top so that it wouldn't be so bulky, I started sewing one weft at a time instead of doubling it so that it looks a lot better at the end. And then after I did a couple rows like this, I ended up sewing straight across. And now I'm cutting my wefts after every row. The wefts that are closer to the frontal at the end is the wefts that I'm going to sew into the frontal. So at the ends, I'm going to sew into the frontal as much as possible, then start sewing on the cap, and then again in the wefts, just so that everything looks well put together. Last weft, and I'm just literally sewing everything together to make everything look seamless and beautiful. Make sure all the knots are tight and well put together, because the last thing we need is for this thing to fall apart. Once I'm all done making my wig, I take out the ponytail and brush it out, shake it out, and I'm looking to see how it looks. And obviously the hairline is not okay. Once I put this on, this is not going to be okay. But before I put it on, I'm just going to try to pluck it as much as I can and pull out some hairs that I want for baby hairs. After I plucked the baby hairs and brushed it out, this is how much came out on my brush. And once I started cutting the baby hairs, the hair started flaring up, and I don't know if that's normal or not, but it was like really weird to me, as if I rubbed a balloon on my head. But I made it work. I took it off. I cut out the extra cap that was inside of it where the frontal was. Now the frontal is going to take place of the front of the cap. just take a moment to look at the frontal. Like, girl, I did not bleach that like you could see right through it, and you, bro, just it's just beautiful. It's time to try it on. So first I put on a wig cap. Why? I don't know. I just see everybody else do it, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to put on the cap, and it looks crazy. I think I plucked too much of the front. It's okay though, because we're gonna make it work. We're gonna make it happen, Captain. But the hairline is not okay, so I ended up plucking more. So after plucking and plucking and plucking and getting nowhere, I feel like I just gave up and went ahead and started cutting the excess frontal part. And we just gonna work with it. We gonna see what's really good. And I'm irritated with the front because I think I still plucked way too much. But you know, just be careful. Where I messed up was that I didn't keep putting on the wig and checking. I was just plucking and plucking and plucking, and then at the end I was like, forget it. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning and I did not want to do this. But now it's time to finish up, and